Failing. Thank you. Welcome, Gregory Marsh.
4 months ago, I had to change the intake manifold gasket on my engine. I had no idea what that meant, but I did know that I couldn't bring myself to pay someone $600 to replace a $19 part. So I decided to do it myself. After 15 hours submerged in car parts and wrenches and grease, I finally resurfaced and I nervously stuck the key in the ignition to test my work. And there was nothing at all. I had destroyed my engine. My name is Gregory Marsh. I'm a piano teacher, an avid reader, a father of 4.5 yowling children. The oldest is 3. And apparently I'm not a mechanic. I really like succeeding at things and I really hate failing, but I decided to talk to you today about failing. You've already heard my first failure that I shared a minute ago, so I'll just jump on to the second one. My freshman year at BYU, I auditioned for the BYU men's chorus. I'm a good singer, the men's chorus is full of good singers. I thought we're a perfect match for each other. After the first round of auditions, I went to look at the callback list and I was shocked and hurt to find my name nowhere on the list. I hadn't even made it past the first round. Clearly, I wasn't a singer. Well, not a real singer anyway. So I left it at that, and over the next 5 years, it took me a while to graduate, I watched as my friends had amazing musical experiences that I could have been having if only I had been a real musician. But instead, I turned my focus for the next 10 years to learning languages. I failed at learning 4 of them, but that was okay because along the way, I discovered my final failure that I'll talk about today. I'll come back to that in a minute. But first, let me go back to the car, sitting there in the car after a sickening moment where I realized just how much I was going to have to pay somebody to rebuild my entire engine. I had a thought. Check the battery. So I went and checked the battery and I discovered that I had forgotten to reconnect the battery cable. After a 4-second repair job, I put the key in the ignition again and turned it, and it started. And it ran, and it ran, and it ran, and it's still running because I haven't dared to turn it off. But in that moment, how easy it was to just give up, to admit defeat, and to throw away 15 hours of work and a $5,000 engine because I didn't realize that I was only 4 seconds away from success. I had done exactly that at BYU. I had given up, admitted defeat, and walked away. 10 years later, I decided, at the urging of my wife, to audition for the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. It wasn't actually just urging, she actually put me in front of a microphone, made me record the audition, and then we put it in the mail 20 minutes before the postmark deadline. But I was amazed when I passed the first round of the audition, better than I had done at BYU. And then I passed the second round, and then the third round. I've now been singing with the choir for 3 years, and in that 3 years, my wife and I have toured Europe together with the choir. We've sung together in Carnegie Hall. We've recorded the entire Messiah together. And last week I got to sing at a presidential inauguration, which you can see from the souvenir a protester sent me home with.
Oh, no.
No, actually that was just a fight with the car door yesterday morning. With all of those amazing experiences I've had with the choir, I regret the 5 years of experiences that I didn't have with the men's chorus because I chose to give up. I mentioned that I've studied 4 languages, Arabic, Armenian, German, and Hebrew. I've never mastered any of them the way that I had originally intended, and at some point in time I've given up on every one of those languages. But I've kept going. I've decided to start learning those languages again, and I've kept going because I can't bear the thought of being defeated by a language that hundreds of thousands of 2-year-olds can speak. So even though there are many conversations in those languages that I can't have because I just don't know them well enough, there are also many thousands of conversations that I can have and that I have had because I've kept stubbornly beating my head against dictionaries and flashcards and verb charts and other brick walls. And along the way, I've gotten to live in 3 different countries, visit 8 others, study at foreign universities, and develop hundreds or maybe even thousands of relationships that I never could have developed otherwise. And as I mentioned along the way, I found that final failure. 10 years ago, as I was studying Armenian, I decided that one day I was going to join the Foreign Service and work for the US Department of State as a diplomat. So 7 years ago, took the Foreign Service exam, and I failed. So 3 years later, I took it again, and I failed again. 2 years ago, I took it again and failed. 6 months ago, I took it again and I passed. I was surprised. But I moved on to the second phase of the selection process, and then I failed. But I've learned enough from choirs and languages and engines to know that if I were to give up now, I would regret it for the rest of my life. So I decided to join Toastmasters, and this is where you all come in. I hope that I can offer you all insights and ideas and encouragement as you progress towards your goals. But I also hope that you'll help me develop my speaking skills and my leadership skills so that 13 months from now, when I go to take the oral examination, I'll be more ready than I've ever been before. And I think that when I go to take that oral examination, you all will be there with me, helping me pass through all of the ideas and insights and encouragement you've given me. So thank you in advance for all of your help in turning this failure into a success. Madam Toastmaster.